What's going on, guys? Real quick, I want to do a short video of sorts showing how you can get near infinite go-to-gun shots. And I say near infinite because it is on a timer, so you're going to run out of time regardless of what you do. So real quick, the build consists of Young Ahamkara Spine. And if you don't know about this exotic, essentially any type of solar damage you deal with your abilities will refund you ability energy for your trip mine. So the trip mine itself, throwing knives, super, as well as with the new ignite that's featured with 3.0. So causing explosions with ignite will give you trip mine energy back. So if you're just a little fun build, you know, you throw a knife and you throw a trip mine and you cause an explosion, you get trip mine. It's fun stuff to do with the exotic. And honestly, Young Ahamkara Spine has always been my favorite for solar, but I'm kind of rambling right now. And you also want to have Deadshot. And with this one, what they've changed with it is that previously you just needed kills to get your 6-shooter ammo back. But now they change it to where you need ignitions, and it's kind of a nerf on surface level because this means that you have to have combustion equipped if you want to use it against ads. But if you're fighting single targets, if you ever want to use a 6-shooter against single targets, I would say this is a buff overall because you can get, instead of 6 shots on a single target, you can get about 8, 9, 10, possibly even 11 or more. And you'll also want to have the Ember of Ashes, and the reason for this is that it applies more stacks of Scorch whenever you apply, well, stacks. And so trip mine specifically, it does a moderate amount, and kind of be nice if it just had numbers instead of descriptions, and you need about a total of 100. So with 2 trip mines, that's about enough to cause an ignition right there. So the Scorch stack or the Ember of Ashes is pretty useful. And one thing I'm kind of curious about whenever this unlocks, and I'll try this again, is how Ember of Char works. And what it says is that your solar ignition spreads Scorch to affected targets. So that includes the target itself that you cause ignition on. You might be able to get more ignitions off of this, so possibly more gun shots. So without further ado, oh, and before I forget, you also want to have knock them down. So figure out a way to jumble that in there. With the test that I did do, though, I tried to see the ideal scenario in the sense of not using your throw knife of any kind, purely just using your golden gun and trip mines. But also did do a test where I used the trip mine along with nitrif just to get as many ignitions as possible. You know, with the newest activity that's come out, some of the nightmares are pretty beefy and you're surrounded with ads, so you're just spamming knives as much as you can. And if you're not using that, you can always just use the acrobat's dodge just to get a buff off right immediately. But I'm gonna stop rambling to show the clip. The first one is just, again, me purely using trip mines, golden gun, and ignitions just to get as much as I can in terms of golden gun shots and explosions as possible. And then the next clip is me utilizing my throwing knife as well as my trip mine. I kind of messed up a little bit, just trying to get things working properly, and the nightmare not being able to kill me, so I'm bouncing around a lot. And one thing too, if you'll notice, if you didn't know, this is just a little fun fact. Whenever you have the super generating mod on for your dodges, it actually extends your super bar just a little bit. So you might be able to squeeze off a little bit more super shots in there, or the super uptime overall. So I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna just roll the clip. So yeah, after the testing there, as I said and shown, that you can get about 9 shots, even more, depending on your order of using your abilities. And then when you're actually utilizing, trying to use everything, your knife trick, as well as, or weighted knife or knife trick, ideally, along with your trip mine, that you can get close to 11 or 10, 11, possibly even more. But again, you got to worry about the super timer. And I know someone's going to probably say, what's the practical use of this? There's other options like Nighthawk, now that it stacks with Radiant. Here, Blade Barrage is pretty powerful. And I would say probably not a huge sense to use in terms of practicality. but sometimes, or me personally, I love using 6-shooter a lot before the 2.0, but it always kind of lacked damage. And so just having some way to deal some extra damage with the super, on top of having Radiant active, and just getting the bonus damage off of that. Then you're getting the trip mine damage, and you get the ignite damage. And I think I had to test to see if ignite seems to deal more damage if the target is ignited like multiple times. It might only boost it up 2 times. But you got a lot of things playing around with this build, and so again, it's probably not too practical, or might be more complex than it needs to be versus just Blade Barrage, everything with the new buff or Golden Gun. But again, 6-shooter as it is, you can get some damage out with this, and it was kind of fun just testing this out and see how things go. So, and just again repeating myself, I'd love to see how Ember of Char works with this. More ignitions means more Scorch, and maybe you might get more super back off of it, but that's about it. So